So we've got just under an hour, and what we'll start with is a couple of short presentations to cover some of the questions that typically get asked. So I'm going to hand over now to Louisa, who will be our moderator later as well. Louisa.
Thank you so much, Steve. Yes, so welcome everybody. You are very welcome to today's session. So my name is Louisa Ball. I'm the Senior Teaching and Learning Administrator for undergraduate programmes here in Computer Science. I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk about student wellbeing at UCL. Hopefully you have all had a chance to see the introductory videos of the programme director of the course you're hoping to apply to, which contains lots of information. So at UCL, there is a wealth of support available to help you settle into your studies in first year, to develop your programming skills and to support your health and well-being. And support stays available throughout all of your studies as you progress through your course. The whole of the first week of term 1 of your year 1 studies is Welcome Week, which takes place at the end of September. You will be invited to introductions to your degree programme, to meet key academic staff, to take part in social events with your fellow students, and hear everything you need to know about getting started. In computer science, your fellow students in later years of your course also help deliver some of the sessions in your Welcome Week. At UCL, all Year 1 students are supported by a student advisor. This is a member of staff whose job it is to be available for you to reach out to and meet with, and who wants to give you one-to-one support to discuss any worries you have and can support you through managing your health and well-being as you get settled into your studies. Your student advisor will hold pre-arrival sessions and workshops to help you meet your fellow students and will proactively reach out to you directly once per term to see how you are doing and offer support if it's needed. You can ask them any questions you have, even if they're not related to your degree programme, and they will help you to find the answer. All Year 1 students are allocated a transition mentor. This is a fellow computer science student in Year 2, 3 or 4, and their role is to help you settle into university life in London. They will arrange to meet with you and a group of other Year 1 students on a regular basis, and you can learn from their experiences as a student at UCL in London. Here in computer science, we're very proud that our students support each other to improve their programming skills. When you enrol in Year 1, you'll be contacted by a Year 2, 3 or 4 student who will hold regular tutorials to help you improve your programming skills as you work on your coursework assessments throughout Year 1. All UCL students have a personal tutor allocated them throughout their whole degree programme. They are an academic member of staff, like the lecturers on your course, who will reach out to you once per teaching term to check on how you're doing. They will offer to meet you regularly to discuss your academic progress, and you can ask them any questions you have about your studies or any other questions that you have about university life. At the end of your degree, your personal tutor can provide an academic reference. UCL also has a dedicated student support and wellbeing team made up of staff who are specially trained to support students. This team can support students with counselling, with disability, mental health support, and can also work with other organisations to support a student where appropriate. All staff at UCL can tell this team if they have a concern about a student, and they will reach out to them. This team can also help to discuss your specific circumstances with the computer science department if you have any concerns that may be impacting your studies. The Student Support and Wellbeing team also proactively promote better health and wellbeing through events during the academic year, such as meditation sessions and the opportunity to meet therapy dogs, and lots more. In computer science, undergraduate degree programmes are supported by an administrative team of staff who ensure that your time with UCL runs smoothly. They will make sure you are enrolled on the correct modules, process your assessment and marks, and answer any questions you have related to your student record. You can visit the administrative office to speak to a member of staff in person, send an email, attend a drop-in session, or call them on the phone. As part of your degree programme, you will complete assessments, such as exams and coursework assessments that you work on over a few weeks and then submit for marking. We understand that students can be affected by unexpected circumstances that affect them taking part in assessment or completing it the best they can. When this happens, you can tell the department what has happened, and a dedicated panel of staff will consider whether your deadlines can be extended or your assessments moved to a later date. We also understand that students have accessibility requirements that are unique to them. This may be because of disability or a long-term condition, neurodivergence, or something else. At UCL, students can work with student support and wellbeing staff to create a summary of reasonable adjustments that is shared with the computer science department to help us ensure that we're implementing any adjustments you may need whilst you're carrying out your studies. This may be extra time to complete assessment, receiving study materials in advance, and having access to recordings of lectures. So thank you for your attention whilst I have taken you through that. I'm now going to hand over to Hannah Keeley, who joins us from the admissions team.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Keeley. As mentioned, I am the Senior Admissions Officer for the Engineering faculty. So myself and my team manage all of the applications that come in from UCAS. We assess them, we process them, and we end up inevitably giving you your decision at the end of the cycle, which is around this time next year, potentially, if you apply. The entry requirements for the computer science department is 2 A stars and an A with an A star in maths or the equivalent qualification you're taking. The prospectus on our website has all of the kind of equivalencies that you would need. When it comes to subjects that you might want to take, the only subject that we will require is mathematics. Further maths is often a question that comes up, do we need it? The only time that would make your application more competitive would be if you undertake the mathematical computation program. So within the faculty, you can apply to all 4 programs if you wanted to via UCAS. The 4 that we kind of take are BSc Computer Science, MEng Computer Science, MEng Robotics and AI, and then the mathematical computation. So you could theoretically get an offer for all 4 if you wanted to, but we usually wouldn't recommend this just because they all have the exact same entry criteria. So you wouldn't have like an insurance choice where if you kind of fell slightly short of the requirements, you'd be a bit stuck basically. So it's much better to kind of focus on one specific program that you'd like. This also ties in with when it comes to personal statements. So when we assess an application, we look at the kind of application as a whole. That includes the qualifications you're taking, the grades that you're predicted or have achieved, your reference, and your personal statement. Personal statements are slightly changing on UCAS from next year, where they give you, I think, slightly more guidance. It's best to have a look on the UCAS website just before you apply, but I think it's slightly more structured than it has been in previous years, where it was just a block of text that you needed to fill in. Even with that in mind, we still kind of will be looking for the exact same things when we're assessing the application. So the main kind of pointers for what makes a great personal statement from my team's perspective would be making sure that it's about the subject that you're applying for. So we often get applicants that have applied for maybe general engineering, and a lot of their personal statements mention how much they enjoy kind of engineering as an umbrella term. And that just often isn't quite enough to reach those top points when it comes to us assessing them. We want to see an applicant that has kind of looked on the UCAS, on the UCL website, looked at the modules that you are looking to take in the kind of first, second years, what you want to kind of focus on. It just kind of really emphasizes that passion. Another thing that's worth mentioning is the kind of jargon that gets used when writing a personal statement. I think applicants often forget that it might not be someone who works in the computer science department that will be reading their personal statement. It might just be someone in the admissions team as a first kind of initial assessment, or the one that makes the decision at the kind of end of the cycle. And we need to be able to understand what you're talking about. And we're not kind of computer scientists, so it's best to kind of at least explain what you're trying to say rather than just using scientific terms. Another thing that's always a nice touch is having a career aspiration. So thinking about what you'd like to do with that degree. is something that gets missed sometimes based on kind of the word count and the amount that you have to kind of cram in to show your interest. But those personal statements often stand out because they show that you've thought all the way through the degree right to the end. And a final thing, I suppose, on personal statements would be work experience and kind of lectures or books that you've read. A lot of applicants end up just listing things that they've done, be that in school or independently, and there's not much we can do with that, to be honest. So just listing a load of books that you've read about computer science is never going to be as effective as reading one book really well and explaining what you've learned from that and what makes you more passionate about the subject based on that one book alone. The same with work experience. There's an applicant who has studied or worked in a very relevant career but not explained why that's good, is not going to score as well on their personal statement as someone who has worked, for example, in a pet shop, but they've explained that the pet shop had, I don't know, paper receipts for a long time or did everything manually, and you ended up inputting a database or something, brought them into the 21st century. That's definitely going to show more initiative and more interest, even though it doesn't seem like the experience itself would be as good. The final part of the kind of computer science department assessment now is an admissions test. Now this year we did the stat test. Applicants were kind of aware of it when they applied, so there's a little kind of flag that comes up when you put in the course you're interested in UCAS that tells you about the program, about the test, sorry. And we then sent applicants more information slightly later on in the year. We have to wait until all applications have been received by the UCAS equal consideration deadline, which is the end of January. This year it was the 31st. I think next year it will be the 26th or something around that time. So we have to wait for all of those ones. We will shortlist applicants, and then we will send those that are shortlisted further information on how to register for the test. There was a website that ASA, who managed the stat test, created specifically for UCL students so that they could look at to kind of get a feel for it. Within the registration email, we sent a selection of sample questions that applicants could have a look at to kind of gauge what the test will be about, how they will answer it, what kind of give them a vague idea. The whole point was that we don't want applicants to spend a lot of time revising for this test. It's meant to be like at the end of the day, your A levels matter the most, or your whatever subjects you're taking, qualifications you're taking matter the most. And this test is kind of based on general intellect, I suppose. There's a quantitative section, there's a verbal reasoning section. Spending lots of time revising for it is not beneficial and is not intentional. So once applicants had registered back in, I think registration opened in March, the test was in April, and we're slowly starting to get offers out now. There will be a test next year. Not 100% sure which test. Assume it's the stat test. If not, it will be another admissions test, but our website will be updated as soon as we kind of have the definitive answer. I think that's it as far as I can think of. I think I've exhausted all options. Is it back to Louisa?
Yes, yeah, and thank you, Hannah. It's all very helpful. You're very knowledgeable. And in fact, actually, I'm going to stay with you, if you don't mind, as we open our Q&A section. We have had some questions posed already, so thank you very much if you've already done that. If all the panelists, when I come to you, if you could just give us a little introduction to yourself and what your role is in the department. But we do have some admissions questions already. So Hannah, is the stat admission test compulsory, and how can one prepare for it?
So it's technically compulsory if you want to be in with a chance of getting an offer. So only those that have taken the stat test will be eligible for a place. Preparing for it, I suppose the main thing is that we will send sample questions to applicants who are shortlisted at the time of registration. So you will have a few months to kind of go over, maybe a couple of months to go over these questions. But we kind of really emphasize that it's not essential to, we don't want you to kind of cram all this information in and stress about it. It's just going to be as just kind of treat it as just another test. I suppose that sounds crazy to say, but don't spend loads of time revising for it. The sample questions will be more than enough to kind of check those, just to check that you know what you're doing. The website also has Stat also had some past papers that you could have looked at, but they cost money, so we don't recommend that either. I think just using the sample questions based on the results that the applicants have received obtained this year, they've managed perfectly. They've done very well without having anything other than the sample questions. But you would need to take the test to be in with a chance of getting an offer, I'm afraid.
Oh, great. No, thank you. That's really clear. I hope that's answered that question. So a similar question possibly, is TMUA needed for application? Does it help if a student has a good mark, I guess, in the TMUA?
Yeah, so we wouldn't look at any other kind of tests, that one, or UKCAT or STEP or anything that other kind of students talk about. What I would say is those tests are really useful to mention in your personal statement to highlight your interest in the subject and show that your level of maths is really good, and that's why you want to go into mathematical computation, for example, or you're more focused in that kind of thing. But none of those tests will be more competitive on the qualification side of things,
Okay.
at least for this department.
Sure, thank you. So we've covered if there's an entrance exam. Are there any interviews to get onto this degree?
No, there's no interviews for any of them. It's just the test and the application, and then you'll hear from us, hopefully, well, this time next year.
Yes, okay, thank you. Yeah, apologies, Hannah, I'm still with you. So apart from grades, what else is considered in the application process? And additionally, how many applications are offered? It says ratio, I guess, how many applications do we get per places?
So we look at the application as a whole. Everything has its own merit. That's the qualifications. The only thing that we don't really emphasize on in the computer science department is subject other than maths. So you could have maths, history and art and be equally as competitive as someone who has maths, further maths and physics, especially if you're applying for kind of the BSc, Comp Sci or MEng or robotics. The only one aside from that is the maths comp, where further maths is preferred. This year, we get around 4,500 applications for computer science as a whole, and it's about 450-ish offers. So it's about 10%. That's across all different kind of overseas students, home students, contextual offers. So
thank you.
Hopefully that helps.
Sure. Yes, I'm sure it does. Thank you. So we have a question about what sort of mark one would need to get into the course on the STAT.
I don't know that information at the moment, I'm afraid.
Okay.
We have, I think, as of an hour ago, just got done our first set of offers. I think until we have all of the decisions kind of out on applications, and we should be able to provide that information by the summer.
Sure.
If you wanted to kind of contact us, but at the moment, I won't be able to tell you, I'm afraid.
No, that's understandable. It's very new thing for the department. Yeah, as I think you've mentioned. Okay, fantastic, Hannah. I think I'm going to give you a bit of a breather and come to some other members of the panel. We have a question about the difference between the 4 undergraduate programs that we offer at UCL Computer Science. So I'd like to come to one of our students who's on the panel, which is Sid.
Hi, everyone. Glad to see that you're all interested in applying to UCL Computer Science. So yeah, there's 4 different degree programs you can apply to. There's the BSc Computer Science, the MEng Computer Science, the MEng Mathematical Computation, and the new MEng in Robotics and AI. I'm currently a third year student on the MEng Mathematical Computation program. So I'll talk briefly about that. And then we have some other students on the panel taking the other courses. So they can take, they can try and summarize their course. So I'd say for mathematical computation, essentially we get in the first 2 years a half-half between the mathematics degrees at UCL and the computer science program in the UCL, in the CS department. So we take usually 8 modules a year. And in the first 2 years, you take 4 computer science modules and 4 maths modules. And then in the third and fourth year, that's when you get the chance to specialize or study in the direction you want to go in for your career or your research interests. So you might, take the compulsory 4 math, 4 CS in the first 2 years, and then in your third year, you decide, oh, I want to go into AI, for example, and then you have the freedom to, take all the machine learning modules, take all the deep learning modules, and specialize there. And also, I think the math comp program is really great because we have a lot of freedom, and students can also just like specialize in math, so they can just go into theoretical mathematics, do like group theory, rings, number theory, and that kind of stuff. Maybe even go into cryptography. So there's a lot of freedom. But I think the first 2 years give you a good grounding to take any direction that you're really interested in. I'll pass to Morgan for computer science.
Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan. I'm a Master's of Engineering Computer Science student. So I'm in my final year, so 4th year. And as Sid mentioned, so the mathematical computation and computer science degree are a little similar at the beginning, but there are some variations in the sense that in first year you get fundamentals in mathematics, you get fundamentals in logic, you also get software engineering or programming fundamentals. The first year really focuses on ensuring that all of the students arriving to UCL computer science understand how to get into programming. And actually added on top of that, there is a programming tutor scheme, which helps first years, which essentially consists of first years working alongside second, third, and fourth years to learn more about like the languages that they need for their course. Then in second year, there are also 8 modules where you essentially also focus more on your mathematical, like you focus more on mathematics and logic as well. And you also go in depth in software engineering and computer systems. In third year and fourth year, you get to select more modules. Third year, you typically get to select 1 module as an MEng student, and fourth year is it's only a set of modules that you can select besides your final year project. And if you are a BSc computer science student, you do have up until the end of your second year to transfer from BSc computer science to MEng computer science. And students might do this for many reasons, notably that they might want to have a master's education integrated into their BSc degree. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
I'll just quickly add, we do have a robotics and AI student, Danila, so I think they should go ahead and briefly cover the robotics and AI program. Now go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone. So my name is Danila Kozlov. I'm first year student at UCL ACE, our very new course. And basically, I think it offers a really nice combination of electrical engineering and mechanical engineering integrated with computer science core. And I think in first year, you gain a little bit of foundation of electrical engineering and mechanical, which allows you to participate in really cool projects where you get to create robots and program them. And I think later on, it will develop more into AI and applications of AI with robotics. So it's a nice mix of everything, which gives you a great foundation in computer science, but also incorporates a little bit of other disciplines. For example, right now we're completing our final project for this year, and it's a really interesting project. We're creating a robot that will climb a tree, which is quite interesting, and it's amazing that you get to do that in your first year.
Thank you. Yes, really good to hear from our student panelists. Eman, would you like to come in, add to any of that?
Yeah, sure. I'm also studying the MNH Mathematical Computation course, and I'm in my third year. So further to like what Sid added, so in first year and second year, almost all the options are compulsory. So like that's just to like provide everyone with a fundamental understanding of both the maths content and the computer science content. And when it comes to third year and fourth year, you get more of a freedom of like choosing what area you are trying to specialize in. And with the mathematical computation course, another very interesting fact is that I think it's possible in the other courses as well that we kind of get the opportunity to like study in an interdisciplinary manner. So like there are options available from like the economics department or like the stats and probability department. And upon the approval of the program director, you also get to like choose modules that is not very like directly related to CS, I would say. So that also gives you like with quite a good understanding of how to integrate like other disciplines into computer science and how to solve those problems as well.
Great, thank you. Really good to hear from all our student panelists. Thank you so much. So we have a really nice question that I think I will give to Steve, and then perhaps our other academic panelists might like to also contribute. Steve, what sets UCL Computer Science apart from other competitive universities?
So first of all, I'm not going to denigrate the courses, you know, at Imperial or Oxbridge. They're fantastic courses. They've got good students, and so do we. Right. So what sets us apart? So if you come to UCL, you're going to be taught by experts. You'll find experts in Imperial and Oxbridge, but you won't find an undergraduate program in robotics and AI, for a start. In computer science, there's a lot of emphasis within UCL on interdisciplinarity and on growing whole people. So we do explore deep technical issues, deep foundational issues as part of our program, but we also look to the application of those. And in that application, we work an awful lot with companies, with charities, with the NHS, they set projects that our students participate in a collaborative fashion. So there's group work, there's a lot of soft skills, there's a lot of communications, but it's all founded on a deep technical understanding.
Fantastic, thank you. Would any of our other academic panelists like to come in on that question? What sets UCL Computer Science apart?
Can I add to what Steve said? So there's also an extensive entrepreneurship program that our industry liaison office organizes together with UCLB, B for Business, where students are really chaperoned from early on to think about ideas. And then they sit in courses which teaches them how to develop these ideas in a business-like fashion, how to develop how to make it become commercial, develop a business plan, how to pitch it to investors. And even we've got in-house investors who will listen to your pitches and they might want to invest your ideas. And as a result of this, quite a few spin-outs have come out. So if you're interested in the commercial route, I think we've got a lot of facilities on board.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's all possible because we are sitting in London surrounded with the top companies in the world, with the top healthcare in the world, the top industry. So I think this is something that is very special to us because we are strongly connected to Google, DeepMind, Facebook, all the Microsoft, really leading companies because we just sit in the center of that kind of tech environment. We also strongly connected with all the major healthcare hospitals. We sit surrounded by GOSH, which is the best hospital for children in the world, one of the best, UCLH, and many others. our neuroscience team is in the top in the world as well. So, and also we have so many other financial and industry partners, and that I think it's probably unmatched. So, you know, combined with all the program that we have and the connections that we have, I think it's unlikely that that can be matched anywhere else in UK and maybe even in the world.
I'm going to put into the chat actually a link to some work our students have been doing, appeared on BBC Click this last weekend, and I'll put a link in the chat to a video of that BBC programme so you can see some of the things that our students get up to. But it's that breadth, it's the interdisciplinarity, it's the contact with companies, it's all of those things that make UCL a very special place.
Not to put you on the spot, Igor, but do you have anything to add?
Again, it's easier for us because we are a new program, right, that the other universities don't have, and also we have its unique, emphasis on not only just robotics or like pure engineering, but also the AI, which draws from the strength of the computer science, obviously affiliated with, so many companies, big tech companies in and around London, and which is just naturally clicks together. So I think we're just sitting at a very good, confluence point of hardware and software as well, which is working out really well for us.
Great, thank you all. Do any of our student panelists want to come in on that question? What sets UCL computer science apart?
I guess I could come in. So I think for me, it was that ability to actually get to do project hands-on and collaborate with industry, and obviously opportunities in London. I've got to apply to so many different external things as well, just because you're in the middle of the active city. It's a huge metropolitan city. There's a lot of opportunities out there. But also, I love the people at UCL, and everyone who I've collaborated with was really nice. Professors were quite open to letting me shadow them, learn more about their research, and just kind of gets my hands on with computer science and with robotics in particular.
Fantastic, thank you. So we will move to a question specifically about robotics and AI, if that's okay, Igor, as the program director for this program. The question is, what projects do you recommend for students who want to study robotics and AI, presumably pre-arrival?
Yeah, so that the question is not entirely clear to me, to be honest. It's like, what if the student wants to have some skills and some experience to appear on their personal statement, or whether they want to just improve, to have some gain and some experience which will help them study at UCL, right? Regardless of which one that is, I would say listen to your heart, right? And it's just there are so many things you can do, right? So we do have students who have competed in, say, some international competitions, Olympiads for robotics. We have students who are passionate about electronics. We have students who are passionate about programming, and everyone is welcome, really. Right? If the students, the candidates, don't have any programming experience, then I would definitely recommend them, trying their hand at, some more conventional computer languages and popular computer languages such as, C and Python. Obviously, this will help them study in the program a lot, especially down the line. But here in year one, we do not assume any high levels or huge experience from any of the candidates. So we will teach everyone from scratch how to use various manufacturing tools, how to use 3D printers, how to design things, how to work with electronics. So having experience, say, with hardware is not a must, because we will give all those skills here, right? But I think trying out something that appears interesting or just appealing at the moment will play a big role, because the students will be able to find the application or their interests much quicker, and which will help them connect with the academics. And obviously, with the academics within the program have different areas of expertise, which will then help the students connect with the right people, right academics with the right skill set, and will help them boost their experience even further. So I think it's more important for the students to understand what their passions are before coming to the course, and probably that's where they should listen to themselves and just try different things and see what they enjoy the most.
Fantastic. Thank you, Igor. Hopefully that answers your question, whoever posed that. So switching back to admissions slightly, we do have still some questions about different aspects of that. So I'll come to you again, Hannah, if that's okay. And we may take a few of them together because I think similar questions. So what is the most important part of making a competitive application? For example, a personal statement, admissions test, or reference. Similarly, a similar question, how can a student increase their chances of getting into the course?
I suppose that's quite a tricky question, because every part of the application is the most important part, because we look at everything. The main thing is grades. If you're not predicted or have achieved 2 A stars and an A with the A star in maths, it is highly unlikely you will be considered, because even if you have 3 A stars, that doesn't guarantee you an offer. That's how competitive the program is. So that's kind of the initial check. The admissions test will become the next main thing adjacent to the personal statement. And then the reference is looked at and needs to be positive. So I hope that everything kind of matters. There are bits that will be taken, like the qualifications and grades will be taken into account first and foremost, and everything else kind of falls under the next bit of the rung of that, I suppose. To make it more competitive would be exceeding the entry requirements and following what I'd kind of mentioned earlier about what to include in your personal statement, because the personal statement is often used to pick out the final applicants who all have the same, for example, the same stat score and the same grades. We need that kind of third element. The personal statement will then come into fruition. So that's important to get right and be as precise about the program you want, as passionate as you can be, and include lots of examples to back up why you want to study it here.
Fantastic, thank you. And following on from that, is the STAT test a defining factor? If your application is strong overall, but your STAT test is low, does it significantly lower your chances?
I can't answer that question at the moment because we're still working out decisions, but that could be something that you request in the next few months once we have all of the data. At the moment, because this is the first year and we're still very much in the middle of working out who is being offered and who is getting, and what's happening there, is not something I can really answer until that's all been finished and finalised.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's fine, thank you. It is a new venture for UCL, including the STAT test in applications. So if a student applied to all 4 computer science courses, if they were rejected from one of them, would they be rejected from all of them?
Not necessarily, because you could, for example, focus your entire personal statement on robotics. That would mean that you would still be considered for computer science because they're obviously relevant. But if it looks like your application is a lot more in line with robotics, you would be kind of lower on the assessment kind of criteria. So it is possible, but it's much harder. The more kind of programs you look at considering that all have slightly different names or slightly different requirements, the kind of harder it is to be the most competitive for all of them. So it's better to kind of focus on what you actually want than kind of just pick them all.
Yeah, fantastic, thank you. And just briefly for us, is the application process for MN similar to BSc?
Yes, they would be the most similar. The BSc computer science and the MN computer science would be almost identical. It would be the other ones in the department that would have a slightly different criteria what we're looking at.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to come to Steve, if that's okay. Steve, could you talk to us about the work the department does to ensure equality of opportunity for staff and students and to encourage diversity and inclusion?
I can. although we also have the chair of our EDI panel here in Manouche. There's significant underrepresentation of some groups in computer science, in engineering generally, but in computer science specifically. Now, specifically to computer science, there's significant underrepresentation of women, and there's significant underrepresentation of Black students. Those aren't exclusive, but those are two notable areas of underrepresentation. In terms of addressing gender inequalities, we run an activity called Athena Swan, which we've been doing for the last 13 years. And as part of that, we look at all stages of the pipeline. So we look at schools outreach to raise aspirations amongst girls in school. We look at students coming onto our courses. We look at how they progress through their journey, all the way from students to PhD students to postdocs to lecturers to professors in the department. And we also look outside the department too, to how we can help others on the basis of the experience that we've had during our journey as well. So what can we do to promote gender equality more broadly than just within computer science as well? Every few years you can apply for an award from Athena Swan, and we've just been given a gold award. We believe we're the first computer science department in the country to get a gold award, although there are some schools with computer science in that also have golds. Nevertheless, there's still a lot of work to do, and we have people who are very passionate about doing it. In terms of broader equality, about 4 years ago, we created an EDI committee, Equity, Diversity and Inclusion, to look at all aspects of equity and underrepresentation. So that includes subgroups that look at LGBTQ, race inequalities, neurodivergence, disability, and so on. Specifically going back to the lack of Black students in the subject, we've created some studentships, the Aspire scholarships, that author holders who are Black or identify as Black can apply to, and we'll consider them. Those scholarships are relatively generous, so we pay fees and we pay some living expenses as well. And the criteria for those can be found online, or we'll put them into the chat as well. Our aim broadly is to create a very inclusive and diverse environment across everything we do. Computer science is a very profound discipline. It touches all aspects of life, from work to education to social life to everything we do these days. Is touched by computers and computing. It is therefore, in my mind anyway, incredibly important that those who are developing these technologies better represent society than perhaps is the case at the moment. We know there are data gaps already. AI is being built on data which is slightly skewed. So we're talking about that, we're investigating it, we're looking at the issues of bias in that as well going forward. So there's a lot of research in this area, and there's a departmental commitment to do better when it comes to being more equal.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Manouche, would you like to add anything as chair of Athena Swan?
I'm actually chair of EDI, chair of Athena Swan.
Beg your pardon, sorry.
Oh, sorry, don't want to take the credit. So actually, I think Steve gave a very comprehensive overview. Maybe I can mention the name of the scholarship we offer for BAME students. So that's called Aspire. Maybe you've come across it, but if you haven't, you can look it up online. I can also put a link to it in the chat. So after you've been offered a place, from 1st of September, you can try and apply for one of these scholarships. Then I also would like to mention something I've been sort of active in organizing, and that is we have EDI summits and industry workshops where we get a lot of people from industry, people who are sort of EDI champions in their industry. We've got people from Amazon, from Cisco. We're working on getting someone from Google. So they'll come and they'll sit on a panel, and then everybody will sort of try to pitch how their company does EDI-wise. So the students who are in the audience, they can sort of get inspired which company they want to go to based on their EDI achievements, which is really lovely.
Lovely, thank you so much, Manish. So I think as we draw closer to time, I think what would be good is if we were to ask our student panelists and then our academic panelists why prospective students on the call should consider applying for UCL. Why should they come to us? So if we could start with our student panelists first, I think we'll go to Morgan.
So if you remember at the beginning of the webinar, it was mentioned that you don't necessarily need to, besides mathematics, obviously, you don't necessarily need to be completely have a completely scientific background to get into computer science. And I'm an example of one of these kind of students because I was particularly, when I applied to UCL, I was particularly interested in mathematics and art, as in painting. And I feel like computer science was a very practical in between of the two. And as I continued like through my years, I discovered that essentially the computer science was perfect for that specific niche. And something that UCL especially helps is, for a domain that changes a lot like computer science is that they give you many opportunities to get introduced to different concepts, which is very important, especially in the field that we have nowadays that changes a lot. So for that reason, I feel like you should apply for UCL computer science.
Lovely, thank you, Morgan. Can I come to Eman?
Yep. I will just quickly touch upon three quick points on why you should apply to UCL Computer Science and UCL as a whole. So we talked about the academic sides a lot. I'll try to talk about something that is like not very academical. So the career support that we receive here at UCL, it's quite helpful. So UCL has this careers department, which is for the entire university, but we also have this engineering faculty carriers who like give you a lot of advices on how to like progress onto the next stages of your career, including like internships, job placement, work experience week, etc. And that's been quite helpful, at least for me. Next thing is the wide range of clubs and societies we have at UCL, especially within the CS department. We have different niche focused clubs and societies which are led by the students. For example, the Tech SOC, the AI SOC, Data Science Society, etc., which is very helpful in terms of like developing an understanding of different areas that's building inside computer science, and also like to network with a lot of great people. Especially as I was talking about networking, UCL has this program called Industry Exchange Network, which is, as Steve mentioned, which is like an opportunity to like work within the industry, and you also kind of get some academic credits for that as well, which is a great opportunity for students to get that exposure in terms of working on real life projects that does make some real difference in the world. So yeah, you should all definitely apply to computer science at UCL. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Eman. Danila.
Yeah, so I will walk you through kind of my experience and why I chose computer science. And for me, it was the interdisciplinarity and opportunities that UCL truly gives to us. So I kind of work always in between subjects and in between different disciplines. And I think at UCL, like nowhere else, it gives you that opportunity to combine your interests and explore all of them to the fullest, especially in robotics and AI. Then the second point that I discovered once I was here already is the community. From the day one, you will feel really supported by the sheer amount of resources that UCL has and all of the academic advisors and student support that you will get once you're here. That's very invaluable, especially as you're an international student. And a third point being London. I think it's amazing being in London. There's a lot of great opportunities out here. Social life at UCL is also absolutely great. And I think those are the main reasons why I chose UCL. But you should definitely do your additional research, reach out to us, student ambassadors, ask additional questions, and we will tell you all about it.
Wonderful, thank you. Sid.
Hi, yes. So I think the other students covered like a good range of points. I'd add that if you came to UCL computer science, you're definitely gonna, when you attend lectures, you're definitely gonna learn something new. It's gonna be challenging, it's gonna be interesting. And if you're really into computer science, then like any course in the CS department that grabs your interest, you will find enjoyable, albeit maybe the exams are challenging. We're all in the exam period now, but that's part of the process. But I'd like to add on to what Danila said about community. I was on the panel last year as well, and I say the same thing again this year, which is that you'll be surprised about how friendly and helpful all your fellow peers and students that get into the course are. Like now that I'm in the third year, it's often that you attend lectures as much as learning the content just to see your fellow peers and have a chat with them. So I think if you came to UCLCS, not would you only learn interesting content and be challenged, but you also make some good lifelong friends along the way. So definitely a great experience. And I think if you came here, then you will feel that too. That's all from me.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much to all of our student panelists for their answers. So I'll come to our academic panelists. So Ivana.
So I think I'll just, because everything has really been said, so I'll just really kind of encapsulate it with just one phrase, which is unlimited possibilities, endless innovation in the heart of London. I think that's really kind of captures why we're so special.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ivana. Manoush.
I think it's the amazing and astonishing and miraculous connections between theory and practice. I came to work in the logic group because people in the group work on some of the most exotic logics I've ever come across. So it was the logic with a wand as a connective, which is really amazing. And when I arrived, I figured out that this logic has actually been implemented, led to a spin-out that which was then bought by Facebook. And since then, I've been working in a melange of theory and practice and really don't miss anything out on the theory. And I've learned very, very lovely things to do on the practical side as well.
Great. Thank you, Manoush. Igor.
Again, it's just amazing to be at the forefront of things. There are so many things, so many pioneering things, both in teaching and research that happen in and around UCL, and our students can feel that. And I think I speak from all the faculty academics in the program that we absolutely enjoy teaching, and I think that it shows, and it's just everyone's just very happy, and obviously we are getting absolutely top students, and it's just a pleasure to meet them every day and to discuss things with them, both professional and personal. And yeah, it's just a very, very rewarding experience, hopefully for both parties involved.
Amazing. Thank you, Igor. So you might have guessed it, Steve. I've left you to last. No pressure.
When everybody said everything. Actually, let me start my answer by thanking the students again, as you have. It is exam season at the moment, and we're incredibly grateful that our students have turned up to this. UCL is an amazing place. It's an incredibly vibrant place, and CS is part of that as well. As Manoush said, the mix of theory and practice, the mix of academic and industry or external focused, the idea that you can use technology to address large real world problems, and that you'll be supported in doing that, and that you will have a community of peers who are interested and engaged and enthusiastic. And as Sid said, you know, we'll form lifelong friends as well. UCL's an amazing place.
Thank you. It was a good way to finish off. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for your questions. Please remember to view the information video on your preferred programme of study and the UCL Open Day web pages if you haven't done so already. And we are also going to display a QR code to go directly to Unibuddy, where you can make contact with current UCL computer science students and ask them about their experience of study in the degree programme you're hoping to apply to. So I'd like to say thank you so much to all of our panellists for their answers and reflections today, and to all of you prospective students for attending and for posing your questions. We wish you good luck with your applications and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.